Alright. It is time for another episode of the Florencio Files. Up here in the top left hand side, the red Terran saying, "Are you Terran?" It is Master Chief. Down here in the bottom right, in the blue, saying, "I'm tearing you up." It is the one and only, the filthy, the very rarely truthful sewer mermaid Florencio. Master Chief apparently not too happy with the idea of playing TVT, so I assume it was ranked up against a random, I believe Beast Mode must be the random account here of Flo. If you're Terran, I'm leaving. Not holding you here, says Florencio. You're such a pussy, says Master Chief. Get reapered, says Beast Mode. Very typical attitude in StarCraft. If you play random, you have to tell me what race you are, because if you don't, you're bad, you're pussy, you have 5 APM, and you're playing the game wrong. Florencio, though, doesn't seem to give too many fucks, does he? I mean, Florencio's the guy who, in the early episodes, he used to just pretend to be dead almost every other game. He'd be like, "Oh no, you're killing my base, oh." I mean, how many times did that happen where he was really hamming it up, being like, "Dude, you outplayed me, you did so good." And then he would simply come out with 2 proxy corner bases that had been mining the whole time, a pack of void rays, and he would shit all over his opponent. There's one man who does not care about playing the game fair. That's Florencio. He's not going to tell you what race he is. Neither should any random player ever have to. This SCV comes in, sees the forge. We're going to see a bit of a desperate wall-off here from Master Chief. The Marine's like, okay, just got to get rid of that probe so he doesn't have high ground vision, but the probe backs off and that Marine almost goes down. The bunker falls as well. This Marine's like, "Sir, can you please not give me orders to engage gigantic Protoss photon cannons of doom? It's not very good, mate." The probe runs back in. This probe, as you can see, has a rather phallic shape on its head. You know, sometimes you meet a girl at a concert, she has the shape of an L on her forehead. But this probe, he has the shape of a large phallus on his head, and that is because he is a complete dick. Ooh, the probe! Oh, these 2 Marines come down and check it out. They've got good orders to not engage the cannons, One of them gets over eager, runs forward, and tries to fight the cannons. Not a good idea. And Terran player just lost 2 depots, is deep in supply block hell, has lost a couple of SCVs, and a Zealot's going to come in and provide a bit of high ground vision. Now, this is Florencio at his height. Remember, guys, right now these cannons aren't in range of anything. So it's very important that he gets high ground vision so the Zealot can see the bunker and then shout insults at it. "I fucked your sister yesterday." Terran like, "You don't even have a penis. You're a Protoss. You couldn't have even done that." And he's like, "Well, I did. She's pregnant now. She's going to have a hybrid human Protoss baby. Ha-ha." The Terran's like, "We know you didn't bang our sister. Like, it's fine." The brothers Billy and Bob, that's right, not Billy Bob, that Billy is the healthy one. Bob's the one who's a little bit more sickly. They're like, "Dude, why are you even standing there?" Like, you realize this vision doesn't provide anything. As always, Florencio, though, needs to give his units an opportunity to insult the opponent and try to drag down their morale a little bit. Behind this, he's building a second layer of cannons, a Stargate going up as well. Master Chief, no command center yet, is building tanks. Now, I don't mind a tank or 2, but you've got to be careful once that Stargate comes up. You're going to need things like Cyclones, Marines, Vikings. The tank's going to be good for getting rid of this front layer, though. Behind it, 24 probes up for Florencio. 16 on mineral, 6 on gas, plus, of course, probes up here. And now that tank is going to get to work. But a Chad Ray is already on the way, and the Terran does not know. Uh-oh. Terran's taking a second gas right now, but still supply block, trying to build a medevac to heal up some of these Marines. Uh-oh! Oh, whoa! Oh, no! Bob just got killed. Billy just manages to get back inside the bunker on red hit point, seeing his brother slaughtered in front of his eyes. These adepts now say, "Okay, well, Zealot banged your sister. Now we're going to murder your children." They're like, "They're not our children. They're just our servant class, the SCVs. They do the building and the drilling for us." The adepts are like, "Yeah, well, how about you drill this?" And kills 1 SCV for 2 adepts, which normally a bad trade, but remember, Florencio, it's not about efficiency, it's about annoying your opponent, it's about extracting salt from them. The Marines come forward, push back the Void Ray, but it gets the siege tank. Another Void Ray does queue up here as well. Behind that, A Stalker does pop out as well. One Stalker, one Void Ray. It's not really a lot of units, but it's the batteries and the cannons that make this rather unbreakable. Still on only one base versus one base. Another tank is building. Vikings being added in, and just lots of unupgraded Marines off these 2 barracks. I think at this point, Master Chief keeps trying to leave the base, but feel like it's just kind of getting cornered, you know? Florencio's kind of just body blocking. Just like, hey, dickhead. This is your home. You're now my Terran cattle. The Terran are like, dude, we're actually an advanced civilization. We're not cattle. Florencio's like, oh, no, it's okay. Don't worry. We're going to treat you great. Yeah, we're going to take you back to the zoo on Aya. Put a big cage around you. For now, we're just setting up some fences here just to observe you, see how we can keep you nice and safe, feed you what keeps you nice and healthy. The Terran's like, dude, we're an intelligent species. You can't just lock us inside our base. That's super inhumane. Protoss is like, I don't know what that means. I don't care. The Chandra comes forward. What a psychopath. Like 14 Marines in a Cyclone, and it still gets the tank before it goes down. Okay. Hungry Terran coming down the ramp says, okay, you've overextended. You've come too deep with those cannons. Very dangerous. And the Stalker right now is like, wow, this is actually a pretty violent species. We're going to have to be really careful. We may need to use the old cattle prod on these humans. The Tempest comes forward, does spray a few of those kinetic overloads onto the face of the Terran. Share the overload. That's what Samwise Gamgee always said to Frodo. No, can't carry all the overload yourself. It's a bit too much for one man. Magfield Cyclones on the way, and an expansion for Master Chief. Still trying to get out of this sick, weird corner of the map playpen that Florencio's pinned him in. And I think at this point, he's actually got enough units to do it. To be honest, imagine if a single drop went across the map. There's no defense over here. You could force the recall. A Widowmine takes out the Stalker. The Stalker just no F's given, just sacrifices its life. The Tempests do get revenge and take the Widowmine down. I think Florencio right now has 25 probes, 2 Tempests. I mean, that is a terrible army. Master Chief, I believe, could literally walk out, walk to the right, avoid the cannons, take a few shots, and go across the map and probably win the game. Flo's trying to get an expansion up, and he's going to add a Twilight Council and another gateway. The Terran here goes for a scan, and he says, oh, no, it's fine. It's one base versus one base. It's okay. I can just chill. I don't need to push. Ah, Master Chief! There's an expansion, mate. Florencio there says, oh, I need a fix. Injects a bloody, what was that, 18 probe recall? He doesn't even have that many probes. He leaves none in his main base. The Vikings got to get out of there. They do take quite a few of those kinetic overloads. And I think at this point, Florencio's realizing, to be honest, he has let this animal get out of control. He did not build enough of a playpen for the Terran. He did not build a high enough wall. And things could go Harambe very quickly. If this Terran army gets over here or over here, this is going to be some true Harambe shit, all right? We're going to see a guerrilla Terran pounding the shit out of some probes. It's going to be brutal and disgusting. So at this point, I think Florencio is going to need to go into Matador mode. If the Terran tries to leave the base, he's going to have to try and lure it over. I don't know if he'll use tasty treats, some raw meat. Maybe the Tempest will do a bit of a twerk to try and lure the attention. I don't know if it's the most attractive booty, the Tempest, but don't forget, these Marines have been out here for a long time. And when you're out there in the wilds for long enough, I mean, just about anything starts to look attractive. I'll tell you what, so there's always a chance those Tempests going to be able to maybe do some kitey kite and lure the Terran into the cannons and the batteries. That's the only way, because there's nothing else defending. It's going to be a Blink Stalker transition. Why not? Casual one gate Blink Stalker? Oh, Florencio. One gate Blink Stalker. Also adding an Oracle, which I guess is just to tag the enemy units. Remember, guys, you do need to make sure you put your chips in them. You got to track the animals, make sure the populations are healthy, and that really is what the Oracle is designed to do. If you think about the Oracle as a unit, it is all about that. It really is your national park ranger. Can use the revelation. Ooh, for now, it's going to set up a bit of a few fox baits. Okay. Going to take out a few poison to deal with the non-native species that might come and mess up the ecosystem. Fair enough. But can also use that revelation to tag the units and implant them with a microchip. Now, that is a Thor. 5 Cyclones, and that's a lot of Marines. That is 30 Marines with Stim. They're gonna go for it, but oh no, the trap! Half the Marines get stuck there. The cannons are falling right now, but the Tempest, I mean, they barely even needed to bait them in. Master Chief, this Terran, this wild Terran, it's angry at being locked up, and it's going to attack straight into the cannons, the batteries, and the Tempests. Most of the Marines have gone down. That Cyclone falls. That Thor could be a problem. Its guns aren't on its shoulders. It needs to go high impact payload. The Thor is not in the single fire mode. It's got the crappy splash damage mode. That mode's only good for killing Mutalisks and clumped up really small air units. Master Chief, if you're going to build Thors, you've got to pull those cannons out, mate. Oh, the Terran runs back up to the ramp, tries to hide in the cave. The Protoss says, hey, mate, my nephews are visiting and they want to see a Terran feeding. Come out. Come on. Come and get some nice juicy Tempest meat. Come on. The Terran's like, oh, I don't want to. Oh, fucking, we're intelligent. This is really fucked up. You shouldn't be putting us in a cage and torturing us and shit. The Tempest's like, come have a feeding. I want to show my Protoss nephews, the silly Terrans. We want to, study some of these inferior, lesser races. Of course, they even bring Rohana, the racist grandma, along in her wheelchair. They're like, oh, grandma, look, here's the rare Terran species. She's like, they're fucking disgusting. Don't get them near me. They might infect me with their disgusting lesser tier organisms. They're like, Rohana, it's okay. Obviously, they are just animals. We do keep them in a cage up here, but no need to make fun of them. She's like, they've got orifices. They're lesser beings. Rohana, of course, never one to let old grudges lie. She just hates that shit. But she is getting to enjoy this. She perks up in her wheelchair as she watches the guards of the enclosure start to blast a few of these Terrans away, eviscerating them. And yeah, it's basically the Tempest zoo enclosure at this point. Command Center goes to land down there, and unfortunately, not too keen on shoving a pylon up its butt. Says, sir, I'm not going to land on that. You need to clear that pylon if you want me to take that third base. And he's like, just land! The Command Center pilot's like, dude, we're not actually... We will impale ourselves on that pylon. Look, all right? That may be some rare crystal, but I am not your nephew Morty, and I am not going to shove that up me butt. Meanwhile, Rick, of course, is in the command center. He's like, get a ride up there, Morty. Right up there. The Thor does finally go down. The Marine's going to get on top of the Tempest. Oh, is it Revenge Harambe? Grabs one of the Zookeepers and mauls him. The other three, though, do manage to get their shit together, and they start pulling back. One of the Zookeepers is being killed, but I don't know how much chance is left here for the Terran. Still, oh, the command center did get cleared, or the pylon, sorry, did by that Thor. Does pick up some of those crystals. Still, put your fucking guns out, mate. Stop using your javelin launchers. The javelin launchers are so bad versus armored. Needs to use the other anti-air mode, but oh my god, Master Chief building Thors and using them as the least effective unit in a scenario. These Tempests, of course, are armored, mechanical, massive. They are not light units. They don't take extra damage. The SCVs are going to try and repair, but the Thor goes down. And, oh, these stasis traps. I mean, if anything proves Rohana's theory that the Terran is just a lesser species, I think this is it. And to be honest, Zookeeper Florencio just absolutely contains the Terran. It's almost 13 minutes and 37 seconds. The Terran finally looks like he's going to get rid of the Stargate, and all it cost him was literally everything. He's got a handful of wounded Marines still getting killed. The third base finally lands. He drops the Mule Hammer, and Mass Stalker Storm comes in. Master Chief is like, oh, that's just messed up, dude. Seriously. F you, man. Florencio's like, what? Bit too much of the Terran population. They were breeding and expanding out of their enclosure. We had to cull. That's all. This is just, it's population control. Something you couldn't do yourselves because you're an inferior species with orifices that you use for communication. You don't even know how to use telekinesis and shit. You don't know how to put your thoughts in other people's minds. You don't know how to cast Psystorm with your magic energy reserves. You're just a bunch of shitty humans. And that's why you belong in the enclosure. Well, thank you very much, Florencio. I'm sure that Terran really enjoyed ladder after this and definitely didn't quit StarCraft for all time. Thank you very much for that replay. Thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.